We're a little more than a week and a half into NFL free agency, and coming up on today's 49ers Report, we're going to take a look at the top available free agents, the best players still on the market that the Niners could sign. As for San Francisco's cap situation, obviously these numbers are fluid because some of these contracts are official, some of these are not. Right now, according to Over the Cap, the Niners 19th among 32 teams in available cap space with $12.7 million. First wave of free agents that we want to take a look at. Some really good players here who I think the Niners have interest in, could show interest in, and could move the needle for this football team. Justin Simmons, the safety, Stephon Gilmore, the cornerback, Jadeveon Clowney, the defensive end, Julian Blackmon, in for a visit with the Niners on Thursday, and Calais Campbell, the defensive end who is 38 years old, still wants to play, still in really good shape, and still an impactful player. Not going to be an option for San Francisco, but I do think that Simmons, Gilmore, Julian Blackmon could be. The Niners are set at defensive end, but Clowney, very good story coming off a career year this past year with the Baltimore Ravens. As for Justin Simmons, the Niners have checked in. They've shown some interest. He is a four-time second-team All-Pro, leads the NFL in interceptions since coming into the league in 2016. Just a great player, a stalwart for that Broncos defense, and he's been an available player, a leader, team captain, very good ball hawk with good instincts. If the Niners want to pay up at the safety spot, I still think Simmons, 31 years old, could be due for a solid payday. And the same could be said for Stephon Gilmore, who's put together quite the resume. Defensive Player of the Year, All-Pro, Pro Bowl caliber guy. And this past year, even though he's getting a little bit longer in the tooth, I thought he played very well for the Dallas Cowboys, especially when Trayvon Diggs went out. He was really thrust into a larger role, only allowed a completion rate of 55%, 4 touchdowns. Not great, but not awful. But 13 pass breakups, very solid number. 2 interceptions and a quarterback rating given up of 83.3. You want an outside corner opposite of Charvarius Ward to keep Deommodore Lenoir in the slot? Could be an answer there at a somewhat affordable price tag. And then there's Julian Blackmon. We talked about him a lot in detail on Thursday morning. In for that visit with San Francisco. And the Niners here have checked in on Justin Simmons. They had interest in Rayshon Jenkins, and he signed with the Seahawks. Now they're bringing in Julian Blackmon. I don't think they're down on Talanoa Hufanga. I think the reality here is you look at the last 4 years and career numbers, because he's been in the league for 4 years for Julian Blackmon. Hufanga's coming off that torn ACL, not as much of a scheme fit for what the Niners want to get back to under Nick Sorensen. And him and Jair Brown, similar players. Sometimes he can get over-aggressive, he can bite, and they might be looking for more of a traditional deep type of ball-hawking safety. And Blackmon is that type of guy. He also has some versatility, kind of like a Jimmy Ward type. So pick a safety that you'd want the Niners to sign between Justin Simmons and Julian Blackmon. JS for Simmons, JB for Julian Blackmon. Let me know down below in the comment section. Next 5 players here. Connor Williams played very well for Miami as a center this past year. Steven Nelson, he's in his early to mid-30s, but still playing solid football as a perimeter corner. Kristian Fulton is a player who has pedigree, but in a contract year, he was awful in 2023 for Tennessee. Adoree Jackson can play the slot if you want to put Deommodore Lenoir to the outside. And then Ryan Tannehill. I had said earlier this week, look, if you're checking in on Zach Wilson, I'd rather have Ryan Tannehill or Carson Wentz. Obviously, as we know, the Niners went the route of Josh Dobbs, an affordable and good target and good pickup for San Francisco. I think he's going to be the quarterback 2, and then Brandon Allen will be your QB3. For Connor Williams, he had an overall Pro Football Focus grade this past year of 86.5 playing center for Mike McDaniel's offense. And if you're playing center for Mike McDaniel, you can play center for head coach Kyle Shanahan. So the 86.5 grade there, very solid. If the Niners wanted to move on from Jake Brendel, could have been an option. He's had trouble snapping the football consistently. Obviously, that's an issue. But you know it's not an issue? Giving up 1 sack, 1 hit, 4 hurries, 7 penalties. That's good football right there. But it looks like San Francisco, outside of maybe Colton McKivitz, if the Niners draft a rookie who can beat him out, are going to run it back with the same offensive line, and That is an offense that this past year did have the number one overall offense in the National Football League. You look at Steven Nelson here, allowed a completion percentage under DeMeco Ryans of just 59.4, and I thought he held it down. Played good football. He's been in the league since 2015, so he's 31 years old right now, and he's going to turn 32 in January. Just feels like he's been in the league for a long time because he has, damn near a decade, and he only gave up 1 touchdown, 12 PBUs, and 4 interceptions. Quarterback rating allowed of only 70.6. He did struggle a couple of years ago at moments with Philadelphia, but the last couple of years he's played good ball on the outside. Kristian Fulton did not play good at all this past year. Thought he pressed a little bit, knowing that he was in a contract year, and I think that's part of the reason why he's still available on the open market. When he was targeted, completion rate, 72.5%, well over league average, 577 yards given up, some explosive plays there, 3 touchdowns, 5 PBUs, no interceptions, and a quarterback rating of 129.3. The Niners' remaining needs here, all across the offensive line. Guard, center, right tackle. I think they're going to address that in the NFL draft. You might be able to use another stud young edge rusher. I think you go that way in the draft as well after you signed Leonard Floyd, who's older, but you turn Gross Matos, who's a little bit younger. Defensive tackle, you want to start to groom a young player there. Cornerback, and then you obviously target the secondary. Throw in linebacker there as well. But D. Winters, Jalen Graham, some of the young pups at that position. More to get to as far as the top free agents left, but how about we get to this awesome deal? Thanks to our friends at Fanatics, this faithful shirt on sale right now. If you go to chatsports.com/49ersfaithful, get swagged up. Rock some fresh Niners gear. We'll put that link in the comment section and in the description of this video. Next 5 years, we grow our list to 15. Odell Beckham Jr. on a visit on Thursday with the Miami Dolphins. J.K. Dobbins, such a talented running back, but he's been injured, ACL, Achilles. Really unfortunate for a player with a lot of ability. Tyler Boyd has played good football, and he's put up good numbers. Been in the league for a minute, but Joe Burrow targeting him with the rock. He's been able to be a good player alongside T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. Micah Hyde is a safety if the Niners want to go cheap there. He's not Jordan Poyer, who's off the market now, but the other Bills safety, not bad. And then Andrus Peat, he's played tackle. He's played guard for the New Orleans Saints. You want a hybrid there? You could certainly go in that direction. The Niners signing Brandon Parker this past week. He's going to be the backup to Colton McKivitz if he's able to crack this roster. And at the wide receiver position, speaking of Odell Beckham Jr., you don't need Odell in the slot. I'd honestly rather have Jawan Jennings. Doesn't have the name value that Odell has, but really good player, comes up huge on some of the money downs, 3rd down, 4th down. And him signing a 2nd-round tender, I think it's big. He's also everything that the Niners are about as an organization. Player development, physicality, a willing blocker, has that swagger and the injection of it that he brings to the team. And that 2nd-round tender, if he plays under that, $4.89 million for 2024. But he can come to an agreement on a contract extension with San Francisco as well. And then the offensive line, I mentioned this earlier. I've said it here on the show. The Niners are going to be shopping for offensive linemen in the draft. If they don't, I will be floored. I will be shocked. I won't be able to believe it because you have to get better in the trenches for this football team, which brings us to our final list of 5 players here. We've talked about Tre'Davious White here on the show. Ahkello Witherspoon is another corner. He's 29 years old, so too is White. Emmanuel Ogbah, but again, I think the Niners are kind of set in free agency along the defensive line. Donovan Smith, offensive tackle for Kansas City, and Dalton Reisner, the offensive guard, who has a solid resume here, and I wish the Niners just would have been a little bit more aggressive earlier in free agency, not with making the big splashes, but by maybe bringing in some competition for Colton McKivitz. That's why it leads me to believe that they're going to go offensive tackle in the NFL draft, because at some point you have to. Donovan Smith this past year, not good for Kansas City. 749 snaps. Overall Pro Football Focus grade of 55.4. 2 sacks allowed, 7 hits, 33 hurries. Not as much as Colton McKivitz, but still a lot. And then those 9 penalties. So right there, 20 free agents who the Niners could target here about a week and a half into the free agency period. Which of these free agents or other remaining free agents do you want the Niners to sign? Let me know down in the comment section right now. As always, thanks for watching the show, and don't forget to subscribe.